I'm recording my role play show over 2 nights on the 16th and 17th of October at the courthouse in Bangor. This is going to be the last 2 times to do the show. Then it's going to go online. It'll be out there forever. So it's only 14 quid a ticket. They're nearly sold out. If you want to be there and share in this special moment, you can get your tickets via the link in the description of the podcast. We love teamwork here on this podcast, and that's why we have teamed with Visual Antics Apparel to design the logo of the podcast as well as fantastic merch. If you want to buy any of the merch, you want to peruse what we have, head to visualanticsapparel.com and see the entire range of the Sly Guy podcast merch. If you don't want to type it into your browser, you can just follow the link in the description of the podcast and go and get your swaggy merch right now. We are very modest here at the Sly Guy podcast, which is why we are sponsored by Modest Beer. Modest Beer have been with us from the days of the cavemen. From the days of the cavemen right through the Egyptian era until the present day. Now, I know we've skipped a lot of time through there, but who cares? My point is the same, and it remains. Modest Beer is incredible, and that's why it sponsored the podcast. If you want to check Modest Beer out, you can head up their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, to see the entire ranges of beer, to check out their merch, and if you want to get a wee sneaky 15% off, you can use the discount code SLYPA15 at checkout. That's SLYPA15 at checkout for 15% off your modest purchase today. The Sly Guy podcast has a Patreon, which of course means you can get behind the paywall access to all of the sneaky Sly podcast information and content that you could desire. I said that in a really weird way, but we're keeping it in because I'm getting annoyed at doing the reads. But if you want to find out what's over there, you get early access to the podcast, you get the uncut version of the podcast, you get bonus podcasts, you get Dog Walks with Davey, you get the extra Sly Guy podcast vlogs. There's so much. There is a litany of previous material over there at patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Wherever it finds you, whatever you're doing on this beautiful Thursday, I hope you're settled in. I hope you're ready for a good listen, because this week's episode was amazing. If you're a new time listener to the podcast, first time, whatever, you haven't listened before, head over and wherever it is you get your podcast and hit the subscribe. It helps us massively to get you guys supporting. And I appreciate all the new subscribers, whether it be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever else, Spotify. Thanks very much, the podcast. Thanks you, and I thank you. So I appreciate that if you're new. If you're not and you haven't subscribed yet, just hit that wee subscribe button. It does us all a massive favor, and you'll be doing yourself a massive favor because you're going to be catching episodes of this podcast every single week. And what an episode it was this week. We have a guest on today, somebody who I've been a fan of for a while now, somebody who I've wanted to get on the podcast and have a conversation with, and that is the one and only Hatty Preston. She's overdoing a couple of nights at Lavery's, and we're very lucky to get her on the pod. And what a pod it was. We chatted about everything, reminiscing about the good old days of growing up in pubs. We both are of the era where we were brought up in pubs, in bars, eating bacon fries and drinking Coke, and they were the good old days. We spoke about working as a nanny, not me, but Hattie, and we also, of course, had to touch on the subject of representation of females in comedy, because Hattie doesn't want to say this, but she's an official spokesperson. But it was a really fun episode, a real easy conversation, lots of laughs. And wherever you're getting it, I hope you enjoy it. And you can listen to this week's podcast in your ears, or you can watch it with your eyes, whatever makes you happier. But what I will say is you'll enjoy it. This week's episode of Sly Guy Podcast with myself and my fantastic guest, Hatty Preston, who, by the way, isn't in that seat when I do that. So it's irrelevant, but enjoy. Hatty Preston, welcome to the Sly Guy Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I feel like we got all the slyness out of us before we even started recording.
Yeah, I know.
So
we had a real bitch car journey, didn't we?
This is just PG now. We feel like we can't even mention any of that stuff.
I know.
But we will at some point. So,
recap.
So don't worry. So you're here in the beautiful Belfast.
I love Belfast.
Yeah, 2 nights only.
I know. Yeah. Well, flying in, because I love Lavery's so much. It's one of my absolute favourites. I'm not just saying that to pander. But also, I get to see McCann for a week because it's his week back. So we kind of I tend to schedule that, so it's the week that he's back, so we get to actually see him.
Do you know what? I want to call him out on this, so because he'll listen to this because you're on.
Yeah.
Reply to my text.
He doesn't.
Worst
he
guy.
doesn't.
What's up?
He only calls.
Worst guy.
No, he doesn't text.
And he hasn't even called either. You know, I had a moment, right? it was personal to us both. And it was something that happened a lot during COVID. Gay sex. No, it was,
yeah.
but
Good
it was a thing. And I'll tell you what it was. I used to love my grill during COVID. We used to have nice moments. We would be texting, and I would have wee cider at the grill, and we'd just be. And my grill saw its last. It did its last barbecue, and I had a wee tin of cider and sent it to him. This is the last. Didn't reply, and he saw blue ticks. So
unbelievable.
Feeling
But do you know
hurt.
what he was doing during
Feeling
COVID?
I
He's
don't.
told me this is one of the saddest stories. So every day he would drink a bottle of rosé and do an individual pod. So he'd sit in his bunk bedroom and do a pod to camera, just him on a bottle of rosé. And if that doesn't scream 47-year-old female divorcee, then I don't know. So he was going through his own thing. Dave,
Yeah,
is
no,
what I'm
that's fair.
saying.
Whenever you put it to me, like maybe I'm bringing back bad memories for him. Maybe I should have invited him to the grill. I'd have built him a wee bunk bed. He could have got his
You
rosé.
should have brought some rosé. Yeah, I know.
I mean,
He was
every
going
day,
through it.
That's a long time.
I know.
Of just
COVID was long.
Yeah, but see, I'm one of these guys who I look back on it and go, maybe the good old days. I like COVID.
I loved that first one.
Yeah.
I loved that first one. I really had a lovely time. Did you have to homeschool? Actually, your kids were way too small, weren't they?
I had one at the time, and then we had the other during it.
Of course you did. We had to do
Prime
something.
time.
Yeah.
Prime time. But it was definitely like it was great because I was working for the civil service at the time, and then my job people didn't want to talk to me, so I just was in the garden all the time.
God, brilliant.
It was nice. And where were you during?
Well, this is the thing. So I was a nanny. I was a nanny at the time, and so weirdly, where everyone else's jobs disappeared, mine got more intense because I moved myself to a place where a flat nearby them, so that whatever happened, I could walk to work. Just because I couldn't get public transport, I was in London, but my job, I mean, intensified in such a way because I had a little one homeschooling. So the 5.5-year-old was back and homeschooling, and the toddler. So, I mean, that kid didn't speak really till he was about 3, and I'm convinced it's because I literally had like time in front of Peppa Pig for about 8 months and be like, babe, you're on your own. Honestly, I've got to homeschool this babe. And we made the best of it. I will say, I got incredibly lucky with that little girl. She's the best. She was one of those, she's a goody-goody. So she wanted to get everything right. She wanted to get 10 out of 10. I was like, God bless you. So all I had to do was not ruin school for her.
Yeah.
But the toddler took a hit, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my youngest's 4 now.
Yeah.
And she's the feral one.
Yeah.
You behave and don't.
Just survive.
Yeah. Just you do that.
He's also got an obsession with hand san, even now. Absolutely loves hand sanitizer when you're going to shops, because obviously for the formative stages of his whole life was me just marinating him in hand sanitizer. And so he now, like, even now, I mean, he's 6.5. He like loves going to shops and just the hand sanitizer thing.
And what does he do when you go in? Because still a lot of places have the hand sanitizer, but nothing in it, which is very, I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It's like it's there, but there's nothing inside.
We just want to remember. Just remember the ghosts of COVID. No.
I had a real embarrassing hand sanitizer moment during COVID. It was actually, we went in for a scan. I was only allowed in for like one of the scans.
I was going to say, you probably had that where you were,
Yeah,
oh,
but you know
bless your
what?
wife.
I mean, it's so terrible. So shit for me. Oh no.
Oh, I don't have to watch her vagina explode. Oh no.
It was terrible. And I went in for the one scan and I did that, and it was all, again, I have this thing where I make awkward. To me, it's like grade A banter, but to other people, not. So the first time we were in with the midwife, I said to Catherine, I'm going to do something today. I don't know what it is. I'm going to do it, and I believe it's going to be something we'll remember. And we did. So went in, and it was at the time, sorry, Catherine, too much information here, but when it was getting towards the end of like, we're probably like a month out from having the baby, the midwife's like, yeah, we need to double the suppositories you take to keep the uterus closed so the baby doesn't fall out, because that's so disrespectful. Again, sorry, just get out of me.
Keep this bucket fanny shut, babe.
So I then just deadpanned it, went to the midwife. I was like, so do I have to double my suppositories as well, or do I just stick on the one? And the midwife was like, what? I was like, yeah, do I have to take 2 or just the one? She's like, what? Why are you taking them? I was like, just, to get. And she went, you shouldn't. I was like, I'm only joking. She's like, oh, and it was so awkward. And I was like, yeah, let this go. She's like, you can't let this keep going. It's too weird. I was like, oh, well.
This is like the one step past, those guys who say we're pregnant.
Yeah.
You're the one who's like, I'm taking everything she's taking. I'm empathy pregnancy the whole way through.
I tell you what, it was hard to poo. It was
I
hard.
tell you.
But that was the first time. So second time, I didn't do it. I was like, I'm not going to say anything this time. But we went in, we had the scan, and then I was sent out. Yeah. Because that's obviously when they have sex with the doctor.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what they do in the pornos. So I'm pretty sure no smoke without fire, Dave.
So they're like, no, you can head on
Yeah.
back the car. And I was like, oh no, there's a McDonald's across. Ah.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, I had to sanitize my hands, went pump, pump, pump. It's like, it's a good grand, thanks, see you guys later. Headed on out. And when I got like a couple of steps down the hall, I realized, oh, it's just full soap. So it's not.
You just sucked
So,
it.
so I had to go back in and be like, guys, I've put soap on my hands here. Can I just rinse? And it was the most awkward little rinse. And it was like, and then had to leave. So yeah, I think that's enough for me.
Your wife is about to give actual life, like make an actual child come to life, and you couldn't handle the soap hand sand debate.
No. And I think that was a lot of the, like, I learned my parenting through the dog manuals. So when I had like baby books, I'm like, I'll wing it. But when we got the dog, I was like, I relate to so much of the training to what it should be to raise kids, and it helped a lot.
Do you know, I love that because, and it makes me feel a lot better actually saying that, because I had an ex once, many actually, Dave, but I had this one ex, and we had a pregnancy scare. We were out in America, and I was late, and I knew I'd fucked it on the pill, and I knew I'd got it wrong, and I was like, bud, we have to have this chat. Like, I think I might be, and so we need to actually have this chat about what we're going to do. And he like sort of sat there for a bit, and he goes, okay. Right. If you get a baby, do I get a puppy? I was like, if I get a baby, do you get it? So, but now I hear you say that, and I go, well, actually, maybe he was thinking ahead. He was like, no, I'm going to work it all out on this dog and be the best dad that's ever been.
And it definitely works. Like there's parallels there.
Great.
Like, and we did get our dog when our wee one was a baby, and it was at that point it was Catherine's idea, and I was kind of like, I had hair at the time, like pretty nice dark hair. And I was like, you know what, let's just fuck it all at once.
Yeah,
Let's just
true that.
And unfortunately, she was fully right.
Yeah.
She called it right, and the dog's great now. But if you know,
do you think it was to give you something to do, keep you out of her way?
No, I think she just likes things to be intense.
Chaos.
I think she loves the chaos.
I really like the sound of your missus, because I think
Yeah.
I'm the same. There's this point where everything's fine, everything's good, everything's content, and there's that part of my brain that goes, fuck it up.
Oh,
fuck it up.
She 100%, whatever that is, has it. And then I'm thinking, like, because in my mind, I'm like, I just want everything to be done so I can just sit. You know, that's to me, I'll be like, you know, that's me happy. But she's like, we could got to do this. We need, and like redecorate and stuff. I'm like, we redecorated like 2 years ago. She's like, no, it needs to be.
No, there's no stress.
Just,
fuck it up.
She,
and
see stress to her.
It's where we come alive. She's not redhead, is she?
No, but I think it's in her. Because her mum's a redhead and her brother's a redhead. So
she's got it. It's a little lick of it.
She's been kissed by the devil.
We do love fire. No. That's entirely correct. You've read that right. No, it is.
But she's and it was fun. So I want to know more actually about the nannying. So in that moment, did the parents just be like, listen, fuck, we're tapping out. You're the boss now.
A little. I mean, not so much. They were because the mum was at home, so she had a big old job, like a real big, high-powered money job. So, like, private investment financing. You know those. But like private investment management hedge. Lots of words, but lots of money, lots of all that. So she was upstairs doing that. He had his own business, so he sort of had to be in and out the warehouse selling these things that he sold. I presume, yeah. This very, very upper class London, Southwest London family. I presume it was heroin.
Of course, I've seen Gangs of London.
Amen, son. But I had these two, and I have to say, I was so lucky. I mean, I had nanny friends who had 4 and kids of 8, 6, 4, 2. At that point, you just got to pick a favorite. I think you've just got to pick a favorite. We're going to school you. The rest of you fucking, eat fingernails. Yeah. But I was really lucky with my two, and they were brilliant. But it is, I love that first lockdown, and I think we made such a happy go of it. We really did. We doubled down on this. Like, I made my own school, Miss Hatty's Academy of Petty Crime and Streets Learning. We had a sign and everything, and we did we had a lovely time. I think it was on that third round, that third carousel of the lockdown. And I was like, buddy, I don't have it. And I remember, do you remember there was that moment, I think it was in 2021, where they'd all gone back to school, and the rumours started, that kind of second or third, whatever, like bad bout of COVID came around, and they started being like, oh, they might have to come back, we might have to shut the schools again if this is particularly bad. And I remember turning around to their mum and going, I don't have it. Full chat, I don't have it. It's not in there. I gave it absolutely everything for that first 12 months, and it's not there now. So we will be out. We will be making bracelets in her bedroom. I can't handle phonics anymore. I can't do it. They learn different now.
Yeah.
But
it seems to me like I find it hard enough whenever it's like my own kids, and I'm like, you guys do. What's it like? Do you just, can you hate them or not? Because you
definitely can. I luckily with those two didn't, but I've nannied enough in my life that there are kids that I really have, and I've left because of it. Because I think basically your base level responsibility as a nanny is to keep children alive. Like from a basic level, that's the dream. You keep them alive. Now, the minute you get to a point where you're on the fence about it, you have to go.
I just love that thought about the parents come back and be like, they're alive, aren't they?
like, what do you want? But no, there's a couple of kids where I go, I'm now no longer invested in your survival, particularly. So I am going to have to leave. And you find the nanny that is invested in your survival.
And do you say that?
No, you always make it up. Because what I've realised is telling someone you don't like their kid is actually worse than saying you don't like them. It's a real thing, I think. It's like such an innate primal part of them that they've given birth to. And so I always just lie and I'm like, I've got this thing and I've got a job that's come up and blah, 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 blah. But dear fuck, there's some shit kids, man.
And then this is down, I mean, call me old school white guy, but you can't just, And then my dad's of the school where he's like, well, did you no harm? I'm like, CTE, when I'm dead and they cut me open. My brain, that'll be why I am the way I am.
I love our parents' rhetoric on that with her like, well, we did it. And you're like, yeah, how are we all doing, guys? Let's fast forward to a Preston Christmas, see how we're all doing.
Because like, I remember even in the day parents would be like, okay, see nowadays, fucking autism, through the roof, all these conditions. See, back in your day, you were a bit of a handful. Now it's all this. And I'm like, but all this is maybe coming from the fact that you're alcoholics and beat everyone.
Yes, but guys, you are both functioning alcoholics. Like the reason there's all these isms floating around is because you guys didn't discuss a single one of them. We've got my brother's getting married in a few weeks, and it's really exciting. And it's our first one. Like it's our first one from the family. Obviously, me and my sister are dragging our feet somewhat. But I've had to have a sit down chat with him, and because he's marrying a Chinese girl, and she's so beautiful and like composed and just.
Is it love or is she?
Yeah. Oh no, it is love. He lives over there, so she's getting nothing out of it. She's getting nothing out of this agreement. But her family are like just glorious and composed, sweet, like civilized, sophisticated, just a lovely family. And I had to have a chat with Team Preston about listen, I know we're all going to be overexcited. I know it's the boys' wedding. I am asking for one time, just rein it the fuck in. Just rein it in. My dad played rugby. And so it is, and his best mate, who's Archie's godfather, is also coming over. So the two of them together, it's like, it's not herding cats, it's herding like feral wolves. And you're just like, please, just water, just any water, like between whiskeys, between beers, just water somewhere in the week, water. And
but you know what's going to happen there?
Oh, awful! He's going to set fire to the marquee, and it's just going to be a nightmare.
It's going to be in one, out the other. Because I have a theory, right, that if it's like you have like the beast is in you, and it's in a cage, and like you can get married, you can have kids, you can settle yourself down, you can be like, I'm not about that anymore. When you get the team together. You're in the environment, the cage is open.
The cage is open. And do you
the beast is out.
It's exactly that. So we had so like I said, my dad did play rugby. So as all the kids came through, we've sort of got this weird extended family where it's like all the kids of the rugby and then the dads. We all still, we're very, very close. Almost like extended sibling. I know. Extended siblings. We had the first rugby, like we call them with the Heavies kids. So we had the first Heavies kids wedding last year. So, when I say they treated it like tour, the 6 men in their 60s now, like massive with varying degrees of obviously like head trauma, body trauma, like all that. Watching the wives who came up through that life and that culture, just go. They just all take themselves to bed about 10 p.m. and just hope their husbands turn up at some point in the night. Yeah. Fenty was found face down asleep in the hotel in the corridor of the hotel. My mum woke up to my dad pissing in the wardrobe. One of them's naked on the roof. Like you're just. And they don't question it. They're just so like, oh, well, he got back, And you're like, why? Why do you want this man back? Send him out. Free him. It's yeah.
And that culture is so like see nowadays. I think the comparison of like even whenever I was younger playing rugby, I'm going, yeah, like stuff we would be doing in bars and places like you're going that, and we loved it though. You know, we're like that is all. See the team, everybody on tables, shirts off, down in pints.
Yeah.
Look, we were out for a meal and we were in a bar afterwards, and I was going, these bloody ruffians over here, and Catherine was like, I bet that was exactly. I went, I know, and she goes, are you
jealous?
And I went, I think so. Because I'm not confident enough to take the shirt off anymore.
Yeah.
Like in those days, I loved it.
Baywatch.
No.
Yeah.
Trousers would have come down too.
Oh God, I saw more when I was going out the rugby play. I saw more dicks on a Friday night, like just hundreds. All of them active, all of them in operation. But I think my mum's lot, like she always says when she was going out with dad, they were sort of the first generation of women allowed in the clubhouse. They were the first generation of women allowed in the room afterwards, after the game, to see the boys.
Yeah.
So they sort of I know this is going to come out wrong, had to, quote, know their place because there was still this thing of like, well, you shouldn't really be here. Oh. So the idea of then turning around to your fella and being like, would you fucking pull yourselves together and stop behaving like, should have been lynched by an 89-year-old boy in a tie. Do you know what I mean? So
an alligadoon of the club.
Alligadoos, tell ya. So it's a different thing. Whereas now, yeah, your wife would turn around and be like, no.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
But it is that thing. I remember whenever you know, like one of your friends and they're meant to be. You know, I remember once one of my mates he's always been notoriously wild. He's the first to get hammered and they're always the first sent home, the first everyone's but he'd always do something before he went. And there's one point we were in a Chinese restaurant and it was like us and I was the only single one at the time. So I was the one that got the blame for everything. So Dave told me. So we were in there and he was like taking his shirt off and standing on a table, swinging his shirt around his head. And one of the other girls who would be like, they're sort of a bit posh, like said to his girlfriend, are you not going to tell him to get down? And she went, you know, if I do, the trousers will be down. You know, and it was that moment that I was like, you get him.
You get him.
You get, and needless to say, whenever they tried to stop him, the trousers came down. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, out of solidarity, I'm getting up there. I got up, trousers, and then I remember I got sent home. And I had to pull my trousers up and get off a table in a Chinese restaurant, sort of trying not to stand in chicken balls and be like, you guys, and then there was a real sobering moment when I caught eyes with probably now, it's a 6-year-old boy, just having his dinner on a Saturday. And I was like, yeah.
This is it.
Maybe I've gone too far.
This is it. Whereas obviously for me, I was just so used to having like a naked dad wandering around the house in like complete stage blackout drunk, being like, oh dear.
Because that's even the memories. Like my dad, whenever I was born, he was like 22 or something. So whenever I was like 7, 8, he was like maybe way younger than I am now. People coming around. I remember the smell of his breath, and that's a childhood memory being, I love that smell. Vodka.
Alcohol.
I was just I'd be like, breathe in my face.
Ethanol. Yeah. It is. It's so funny. But it's something that as I've got older, I've had to reconcile with, this wasn't normal. The childhood you had really wasn't normal. And my mum tells a story about, I guess, I mean, this is hilarious, 90s parenting. Not even, 80s parenting. She, for whatever reason, it would have been a Saturday, and she says, it was dad's turn. It was your father's turn. Now, that didn't mean that he didn't go to the pub. It just meant he was his turn to do childcare. So he tells this story about how it was after a game. Mum had obviously palmed me off on him. And he'd, standard, finished the game, gone to the pub, had me in the car chair, in the car seat. And he said, well, what I did was you were asleep, so I just put you under one of the tables. And he's like, I was checking. He put a 3-month-old in a car seat under a table in the pub. And it was like, I was checking. And he said, at one moment, I went over to check and you weren't in there. So I sort of looked around and and he was like, and Pricey, our captain, had a baby lying face down sort of on his forearm. He's massive, like face down, and just balancing his beer on your back. And so I went, oh, Pricey, is that mine? And he went, oh yeah, Presto, she was just making a bit of noise. So Dad went, oh, brilliant. And just got back to his night. So I was the 3-month-old balanced on this massive man's forearm with a pint rested on my back like a coaster.
Why did I have this weird shape of my back?
Why got osteoporosis at 10? But you just go, right, okay, so that wasn't everyone's childhood of just massive shit-faced men all weekend.
But see, I love it. See, hearing this, it's like I resented my kids because I brought them to the pub once and I gave them a little bottle of Coke. I don't like bubbles. Fuck off. drink it, and then give them the bacon fries. Like, this was my childhood, scampi fries, bacon fries.
God.
Sitting in a pub, my dad would buy me a wee magazine, and I would think this is
The
time with my
best
dad.
day.
Oh, I love it. But he was just there, and he would do the 3 football matches. He'd go for the 12 o'clock kickoff, the 3 o'clock, and an evening one, and then Mum would come and collect us from the pub. He'd be like, "Do you have a great day?" Yeah, I got loads of Premier League stickers and
Panini books.
Unbelievable.
Dave.
It's a dream.
It was a dream. It's one of my dad's favourite stories is he dropped me off. I grew up in West London, which is, if you don't know, it's quite like a hoity-toity area. Yeah, I know exactly. Well, I was like, it was just a bit of a hoity-toity area of London, and I went to a bit of a... Pardon?
Putney?
Yeah, very much. That's kind of southwest, but that was very much my neck of the woods. And went to a West London school, so everyone's called Christopher and Annabelle, and you don't shorten it. It's Christopher's and Annabelle's.
Oh, yes.
You know, and but my dad dropped me off at this party. It was 5-year-olds party. I was also 5.
I wasn't sure.
I was also 5. Yeah. Similarly, I too was 5. Dropped me off at this 5-year-old's birthday party, and the dad sort of like skipped up to us. You know, this sort of very skinny, clean dad skipped up to us and was like, "Yeah, must be, absolutely had to have come out after that." But he came over. He goes, "Harriet, what can we get you to drink? What can we get? What's your absolute favorite drink in the world? What can I get you to drink?" And I looked at this man and went, "Foster's." And my dad was like, "Oh God," because that to me was every night when Dad got home from work. You like ran up, got sat with Dad on the sofa, and I was allowed one of his Whatsits and a sip of his Foster's. That was one of his. I could have a packet of Whatsits and a can of Foster's, and I was allowed to have. And it was, God, the juice of elixir. Foster's at 5. God,
that's because it was Budweiser got me into it.
Really?
I could have a wee sip with him, and I used to have the rules were if I watched football, I'd have a wee drink at the beer. They're great memories. I love it. See, looking back, I'm like, I love that.
Look at what we're speaking about them. Yeah. Like a hallowed glory memory. Exactly. These kids aren't living anymore, Dave.
My sister is like, she's maybe 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
And she kind of, what happened, we moved from our first house to like probably a bit more of a posher area. Mm-hmm. So when I was 17, so I had got it. I was from the hard streets of Hollywood. Mm. And then my sister sort of was a bit more toffee. Even now, she was like, and I was like, "Shut up, you had a great chat." She's like, "No," and we were like, there was these emotional bonds, and I was like, "Shut up, yeah. You were a toff. That's
we got Panini books. You know, Shut up.
You were a toff. You know, I did the work. Hollywood being like, "Shut up," but like she did, and we are so different. Like even our friends and everything now. Yeah, and she is such a snob.
It's so funny,
and like she'd be like, and I'd be like, "You know what the problem was? You're no fun. Yeah, that's why Dad didn't bring you to the pub. You're a fucking little rat toy.
You're lame." Yeah,
you know?
Me and my brother always say to my little sister, we're like, "You had a different mum. Like, we don't know her. Like, yours seemed pretty fucking great."
Yeah. Like even I loved it, and now I look at my kids, I'm like, fucking the world's going crazy. You guys, your tablets, and then also the wee things you watch TV shows on.
Oh God, there's some. I mean, the kids shows now, man, that'll send you mad. I said to the last nanny job I had, I think on the interview, I was like, I will leave if Blippi comes on.
I can't do with him.
I will leave this job. I will leave your children alone in a house if Blippi comes on the telly. That is, I'll kill him one day. Yeah, he's the worst person. Like people going on about Putin. I think they just haven't seen Blippi.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need
to do.
Fuck
that guy.
Send Blippi.
Send Blippi to Ukraine. Yeah. Can you imagine like just, "Hey, today we're doing," like the Russians would turn and flee like that.
Like, it is over. We
cannot. We don't have the stomach for this Blippi.
But like you hear him and you're like, no matter where you are in the house, you can catch Blippi, and it's like, this guy. I
hate Blippi. Him.
No, but are there any ones that you go, you know what? I fuck with these guys. They're
Bluey.
Right.
Bluey's a good boy.
But you know what? Bluey's a girl.
Is he?
He's a girl. Yeah.
He's a girl.
I only found that Bluey was a girl recently, and you know what? Didn't like it because he was blue. I was like, I'm sorry, no.
That's 90s kid talking, isn't it? No, it's not Pinky.
Yeah, and then no, Bluey's a girl.
Bluey's a girl. Right, well, good for her.
Yeah,
okay, 2024 Bluey. Yeah.
And I was startled by that.
Well, I do love them.
Yeah, girls are.
I don't know. I love them Blueys.
They them Bluey. Bluey's, but Bluey always is the good message.
Yeah.
Do you ever see some of the more niche ones like Daniel Tiger? Do you ever watch him?
I don't mind Daniel Tiger.
Yeah, he was all right. But again, what I couldn't get about him was he would get up and get out of his bed every morning in his pajamas, bottoms and top, take his PJs off, put his clothes on, but he just wears shoes and a jacket. So why is he wearing bottoms in bed and then going out with his dick?
Well, he's a flasher for a job. I guess that's what he does. Yeah. He flashes in the playground. He's a menace.
And nobody says anything about it. But no, but there's some of them that were like the most random one. You ever watch Simon? He's a little French bunny.
No, we haven't.
So yeah, he's got a wee brother called Gaspard, full French names.
Sure.
And Holly was really into that for a
Yeah.
while. And then we got goldfish. It was like Simon Gaspard. So we now have these
Brilliant.
weird goldfish. And the people are like, why have like anyone go, what's the name of your fish? Oh, it's Simon. And that's
Gaspard. Absolutely.
It's a weird one, but
I like that.
I like them to watch that. But they're getting into YouTube now, which is YouTube, but they can't speak
I
properly.
hate it.
And it's just like people doing weird shit and then voiceovers, and then this is what we're, and it's like I don't like them watching that. But then
No, I don't.
for half an hour's piece, is it worth selling their soul sometimes?
I know. I once had a kid who really loved montages of trains going very fast on YouTube. So not that there's no storyline. There's just montages of American, the massive trains in America, like your like Pacific and your Amtrak's and whatever, like going really fast through crossings, just constantly. It's like you can get them for like an hour on YouTube. And one time I walked in, you know what, you don't have little boys, but I guess you were one. Little boys, I walked in one day and I put the train montage on because I just had to cook. And I was like, whatever you need that's going to, make you survive this next 20 minutes of me not looking at you. I turned around and he had a little boy erection.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, babe, I'm trying my best here to make you like cool functioning member of society. I can't have you get erections with train montages.
Yeah.
There's not much more I can do to make, like, I don't know. We're just going to have to deal with how life's going to treat you. If you are someone who gets erections for trains, life's going to be hard. It's going to be a real tricky one for you, this.
He's going to be that guy that wears the GoPro. Like,
oh my God. It's here. I was like, oh no.
But see, that is a worrying thing,
I know.
But and then you think about what you're like into when or what you're subjected to. My era, Baywatch, Gladiators.
Saturday night, everyone Baywatch, Gladiator, Blind Date. Are you kidding? Life was never better. Life was never better than that Saturday night. And then, do you remember when we were teenagers? I don't know if you had this. A Thursday night was E4, Friends, and then ER. That was that was my teenage equivalent of that.
That was still on the go with that exact time.
Yes.
But the Gladiators, I remember at the time, again, sometimes my dad would intervene in my life decisions the odd time. And I remember at the time when Gladiators were big, he collected the wee tokens from the Kellogg's boxes and you got Gladiator posters. And I said to Dad, he goes, you can have 2. I said, all right, Hunter. Yeah. I want Hunter and I want, who else do I want? Shadow. Oh no, Shadow he got kicked out for taking coke and beating the head of people.
He did, didn't he?
But I mean, the eyes. Shadow was intense.
So was Wolf was one we were all scared of.
Wolf was nobody got Wolf, but no, Hunter and Warrior. I think they were the 2 that I wanted. These 2 buff, like they were bodybuilder guys. And my dad was like, "Tell you what you can do," and I went, "What's that?" And he goes, "You can have Jet and Lightning." And so I had a 6-foot poster of Jet on one wall, Lightning on the other wall, and I think that was like, I guess I'm in the girls now. Then that's
my sexual awakening. Yeah. Oh man.
And
you could have been a beautiful gay, Dave.
I could have.
And your dad's just ruined that.
And you know what? A lot of people, like, whenever I go, like, I introduced Catherine as my partner.
Yeah, my beard.
My best mate's wife's like, we all swore you were gay. I was like, stop it, why? What? Oh my!
Opens his wallet. There's photos of Hunter and Warrior where his kids should be.
But then I think that was my dad probably going, yeah, maybe just stick.
His tits.
Then, and then it went the other way. I remember, like, he used to be an avid reader of the Sun. My father, and he goes, I've got you another poster for the wall. I was like, what's that? And it was just in the middle. It was Pamela Anderson, just on a beach. Yeah. And he's like, CJ. That's CJ. He's like, you love Baywatch, mate, don't you know?
Was it CJ Palmer? CJ? No.
Parker.
Yeah. That was it. God, fuck.
I was CJ Palmer with that poster on the wall, that's for sure.
Yeah. Do you ever think about that? Like, our dad's just it started at 5:35 p.m. Baywatch was started at 5:35 p.m. on a Saturday. Our dads just got to sit with their kids and watch porn for an hour. Yeah. Like, really, that was. But it was the montage bit in the middle that had no storyline to it, but was just 17 minutes of music and titties with your kids. Yeah.
But you know what I even started? Do you remember before it was wrestling? Before that was like WCW in the afternoon.
See, I was never of that. I just didn't. I didn't understand it was fake, and I didn't understand why they weren't all dead. Sorry, no, you're absolutely right. I didn't remember watching it. I was so little. I would have watched it and was like, I don't understand why they weren't all dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, but they should all be dead.
You know what else? I'm just thinking now you mention it. There's a prolonged period of nipples.
Yes.
On that Saturday evening TV from just nipples the whole way through.
Baywatch, Gladiators. Blind Date, if anything, which is when they should have had their nipples out. They were very conservative.
No, they Priscilla, she should have had hers. That would have Surprise!
What a woman. Now that would have been a surprise.
Yeah.
God, she was, here's Hawkley, touching my nipples. What a woman.
But what a great. I mean, you know what? Have you watched the reincarnation of the gladiators at all? Have you seen any of
No,
it?
I haven't.
It's actually brilliant.
Is it?
Really good.
Have they
So
camped
did
it up
before.
enough? Because I'd be
Yes.
devastated if they hadn't.
Because the first time they were like, they tried to do it and they had like they were, you know, when you get like Sharpies and it's like the golden Sharpies and silver and bronze, they're all in like these like proper trying to be glad stupid. Now they're back in the same. They've got Saber. She's my favorite.
Oh.
You've got Saber. You've got Fire. My wee one loves Fire because of Fire. Very sweet.
Oh.
It's my favorite Fire, Daddy. I'm like, why are you deaf?
I was going to say all Chinese. I
Yeah, I know.
know Chinese baby.
Anytime I do my impression of her, that's how I get away with it. I'm just doing my daughter.
Yeah.
I
And
got
it's a
Fire.
doctor, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, but she loves it, and then like there's a bad boy and all in it too. Viper, he's all.
Oh,
But you know what? He's not. He's no wolf.
he's
but
no wolf. Wolf,
yeah.
you were like, he's a killer. He's a murderer. They found a murderer.
But he did have that hair.
Yeah.
Of just, you know what? It's never a good
He had
look to
creep
have
hair.
long bald hair. You know, like if you grow it long, it's always a bit weird. But the wolf man,
Man, he got it job done though, didn't he?
And
Do you
then-
remember him like swinging to like that bit where they were swinging through the air to catch
Oh,
the
yeah.
contender? You were like, he's gonna eat him.
and he
alive.
was the big bad. I mean, he had John Anderson tortured. And he couldn't cope with the wolf man. He was sending him off every week.
Oh yeah.
He was glad people were not ready for the wolf man.
Who does that job now? Because he's dead.
R.I.P. John
I
Anderson.
know.
Mark Clattenburg does it.
Okay, is he
he's
all
a
right?
football ref. Yeah, he's all right.
Okay.
Except initially, I was like, "What the fuck's his voice about?" But he's Welsh,
Oh.
so he would still have a wee bit contender.
Yeah, that's what you
I know, and
want.
it's like that's what I need.
You want a
I
bit of a
need
Tom
that.
Jones in there. Yeah,
We
yeah.
need there. Oh, yeah, that's not Tom Jones. It's Elvis. It's embarrassing for me. Yeah, but imagine Tom Jones was the ref. Oh.
God.
Oh, do you like a wee bit of Tom?
Oh, I tell you, wait, is he still alive?
Oh,
he
I-
is, isn't
yeah.
he? Yeah. God, he's-
Let me show you something randomly. Actually,
Great.
do you ever get targeted advertisement?
Do I ever?
I
Yeah.
saw something and it was William. I just was like, Willie T. I don't know why Willie T. I love this, but I know I love it. It's a guy who's doing a tribute to Tom Jones, and we can't work out if this guy is doing blackface or not.
Oh,
But-
fantastic!
But it's
my sister's ex had a Tom Jones tribute act at his 30th, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen. But same as, I mean, just so orange
But-
that you were like, I don't know if this is
like, what's this guy doing?
absolutely, absolutely. No, that's fine.
We
no,
don't know
that's
what
fine.
he is, but I love it. And you know what he's known as? Benidorm Tom in the show Sex Bomb.
Oh,
So,
imagine that being your legacy. When
Yeah.
one day that man dies, Benidorm Tom. Beautiful.
but then you hope there's going to be young Benidorm
Tommies.
Benidorm Tom
Yeah.
Jr. because it's like Sticky Vicky when she retired and died. Her daughter
Yeah.
was like,
Sticky
I'm
Nicky.
coming in.
I
Sticky.
love
Is
that.
that what she's
I
called?
don't know.
Nicky?
But I
it'd
think
be
that
so
would be
good.
so good if she was Sticky Nicky.
Sticky Vicky.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a sad day in Liverpool. That's where I live now, Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that Sticky Vicky was it was a sad day.
Was she Liverpoolian? Was she?
I think she was a Scouse, but if not, she was very much like a sort of patron saint of Liverpool. They really took it to heart.
Yeah.
They really loved a Sticky Vicky.
I
So.
mean, and she does. I mean, don't mean this in any
Mm.
offensive way. She does seem like a Scouse icon. You could see them getting behind her.
They definitely have a type.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Scousers definitely have a type. And I
they'd
love
say it
that.
well too, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Sticky
Sticky Vicky.
Oh.
I know. God, they're a good gang. They really are.
And how does that feel then from moving from London from
God, it's been the best thing in the
nannying
world.
to? And what was the decision that you made? Obviously, was it a comedy related decision or was it a life or a bit of both?
Bit of both, absolutely bit of both. I was gigging. I mean, I got to the point with comedy where I was gigging a lot all over. So London was becoming. I didn't have to. I wasn't there as much. I was going all over. Every time I went to Liverpool, I just had a blast. I had a blast doing the comedy in the city, hanging out with the other comics. And every time I went back to London, I don't know if you know this about Londoners, but we are awful. Like Londoners are awful. And I'd lived enough, like I hadn't even started comedy in London. So London wasn't my home comedy scene. Chicago's where I started. So I never had this, I was never wedded to the London scene. I never really enjoyed the London scene. I think I got to a point where I was ticking along nicely in the London scene, but I didn't enjoy it. And again, just not to sound like a wanker for a minute, but like we were talking about this, like we have the fucking best job in the world. We make people laugh. I mean, it's sometimes monumental piles of shite, but it's fucking great. And the idea that you are doing it and not enjoying it, you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
And London, I wasn't enjoying it. And eventually, and I'm old now, Dave. I'm a lot older than I look. I moisturize. Thank you.
73, well done.
Yeah. You know? And I was like, what am I doing? I could live in a flat to myself in Liverpool. I mean, I haven't bought it, don't be silly, but I get to live alone in a flat that I love in Liverpool and have a lovely time. And I don't have to work in like minimum wage jobs 70 hours a week. I love the comedy scene in the Northwest, and I love the hang, and it's just been the best move in the world. And also I'm at a point, I think we spoke about it, so I'm in the middle of trying for a baby. I'm doing the IVF stuff, and I don't know how people are raising children in London. Like I know it is expensive wherever you do it, but I don't know how they're doing it, especially if you're doing it as a single woman. It just is not. I mean, I'm not even close.
They're the worst guys as well for money, kids.
Yeah,
they need the money for everything.
They don't care how your month has been for earnings. They don't care at all.
Because I tried to have this discussion of mine, be like, listen, you don't realise how fortunate you are to have daddy during the day.
Yeah.
But when no one hears they're going to bed, I'm going to work. It's okay. And they're like, no. And I'm like,
yeah.
But then my eldest will be like, well, if I let you go without kicking off, will you give me one of those wee silver pieces? I'm like, 50p, yeah. So she'll be like, shh. And then I'll be like, send her, like, speak to the wee one. She'll be like, giving her 50p. So
I love that. So you've got a system now, is what you've got. Like, you've got a sick system.
Yeah. And then that was another thing that happened. We were at the zoo the other day, and the wee one tripped and fell, and it was the wee one's birthday last week. So my sister had sent a bit of money over to be like, buy them a wee present in the zoo for me. Said okay. So whenever the wee one fell, I thought, oh fuck, she flatlined.
One of those.
And I thought, she's maybe you got a wee. And the scream was, too loud. You're like, that's I can't cope. Yeah. That's too loud.
Yeah.
I said, you've broken something here. And the older one was like, but can I still like get something in the shop? Or I said, not if she's broken her friggin' arm. No. And she was like, and you could just see her do this. And whenever the face is going a wee bit red, and then you start, like, she's not crying, but the tears are under her face. She's like, I really hope she's not broken her wrist. I'm like, yeah, me too. Holly, me too. I hope, like, my 4-year-old, I don't have to sit in A&E all day, because, but it was such a stress.
Kids are brutal, aren't they? They're so brutal. When, like, you watch them in the playground, like, they push or they trip someone over, or they do something that they know is bad, immediately look at you, stand as far away from the other child as they humanly can. You're like, you're a psychopath. Yeah. Oh. You're a psychopath.
Sometimes you go, they're full fucking
full
men.
Psychos.
And then you don't know what to do. You're like, okay, well, this is, am I going to sleep at night?
I know. So the two I had during lockdown, they're the two I had for the longest. I was with them for about 3 years, that family. What I loved about the little girl, not so little by the time I left, is she couldn't lie. She really, really, she was one of those gorgeous children who just really couldn't lie. So even if she kind of found herself in a situation where she knew she'd done something bad, but she'd just kind of zip her mouth, and it was like she was closing it so that it couldn't come out. And you'd watch her just be like, and I was like, this is so sweet. She can't lie. So the option is, I just won't speak. I just won't let any sound come out. And bless her, the conscience on that little girl. I was always very grateful that she wasn't a psycho, but I have nannied one and watched her lie like an FBI agent on the spot. I have watched her lie like the way James Bond could dream, where you just look at her and you go, fuck me, you're 6. And this takes me on, because I nannied a lot in America, and obviously they have a massive problem with school shootings, etc., which is, not ideal. I believe, how we have like a sexual offenders register. I think we should have a register of the kids we reckon are going to be it.
Yeah.
The kids who like, they will shoot their classmates at some point. So can we just have a pre-register where we're all just aware of this one, because they need to be monitored extremely closely, especially when puberty hits. We're really going to have a bit of a ride of it then.
Yeah, but at least you can be, and then they start wearing like the long leather jackets and listening to like Korn. You're like, guys, this is a problem.
Yeah, I know. Girls find eyeliner, the boys grow their hair. That's when we know. That's when we know it's happening.
You gotta be aware, because you have to. And like with the lying, like they are good at it. But the one thing I will say that I have inherited, other than great memories from my parents, was they were fucking two rats. My parents, right? They would tell me lies, and I'd fall for it. So they were always like, when you lie, my mum would say, when you lie, your head goes red. So I'd be like, oh, fuck. So when I thought I hacked the system, and I'd be like, this is all good. So I would go up to her to tell a lie
in blackface,
like this. I'd be like, yeah, so mum, and she'd be like, you're lying. I'd be like, what do you mean? She goes, I'm like, what? Is the head's going red? And she's like, move your hand. I'm like, no. And then but now my big ones inherited that too. I would say to her the head, and she'd be like, well, this is the thing. In fairness, she wasn't as stupid and blatant as me. She'd be like, well, and try to just.
I love that. Isn't that great? Isn't that? Yeah. Is that those things? It is those things that you've taken as absolute gospel from your parents when you were little. I mean, there's that like,
I love you.
Yeah. Wait, what? is the with the count to three. We never got. I don't know what they would have done if they got to three. I don't know what they would have done.
Yeah.
We never did. But what would they have done?
Well, what I do is reset again.
Oh,
I'll give you another chance.
Yeah.
1,
2.
And then the wee one will just go, nah, I'm fucking doing it.
Jesus.
Holly will be in her room already under the covers, Karen.
Absolutely.
Matilda, what are you going to do?
She's the little one.
Yeah, she's what are you going to do? And then you have to be like, and then I would run sort of like at her, as in run up the stairs, and she'll just stand there, and then I look like a dick. I'm like, well, you're upsetting me. You are.
Oh, the gentle parenting. We love this.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Your actions, you are not a bad. It's what Mike Rice did to me. Like, you are not a bad person. You just did a bad thing.
And did you feel bad, or were you like, fucking fair?
Oh, you always feel bad when Mike gets cross with you because he's such a good boy. But it was like,
But like, what he should do is like give you just a smack around the leg.
No, I know, just a backhand. Yeah. And also, more women in comedy should be given a backhand. You know, we know this.
Yeah.
We know this.
But I mean, you guys
we know this from Twitter.
You guys, I feel like you're the spokesperson now for
Dave.
the conversation.
I know, and it's fucking terrifying. I shouldn't be the spokesperson for anything. I think, and I don't know why they've done this. And I said to them, because there's all this, if anyone has missed this, lucky you, there's been a little bit of a furore about women in comedy in the northwest of England at the moment.
So is it based, did it all kick off within that scene? Region?
I think so, because it is, we spoke about this, like, it's a Boise scene. There's fucking hundreds of them. And they are, much like your lot in Belfast, delightful for the most part. Like, I love coming over to Lavery's. I love coming and hanging with you lot because it's, for as much as it's a Boise scene, that's a reflection of the numbers and the demographic of people getting into comedy. It's not because you're all stood at the doors of Lavery's being like, no girls allowed.
No, it used to be very much like that.
Did it?
We were like, no.
Yucky.
You know, it was like the rugby scene we were saying. Listen, we can,
fine,
we can
one of you can come in.
Yeah, but this is the way we go on here. Whoa,
Have two, right? Bring it back. So I don't. It's one of those things where I think on paper people have an idea of it, but actually, if you're in these green rooms, if you are on the receiving end of the treatment of the boys and the bookers and the staff at these clubs, which is nothing short of just charming and respectful and charismatic and lovely and kind, then it's must be a very baffling argument to feel like you have a stake in. But yeah, hot water. There was. Sort of thrust me and my two mates to the front, and I was like, like the other day I said to you, they put me on radio. I was like, I absolutely can't go on the radio. It's daytime radio. I swear all the time. I just sat there like, don't swear. Oh my God, don't swear. I was like, there is no version of the world where I should be entrusted with this sort of spokeswomaning for something that's actually very nuanced and interesting topic of conversation.
But I think you've hit the nail on the head with there. That there are so many, like on paper, obviously. I think unless you're some sort of psychopath, which should be on the school should register, you would want there to be a more fair representation across the board. But it's like they say that for every, I think probably here, maybe for every 10 or more boys doing it, there's maybe one girl, and it's like we were even the actual, like you made a great point earlier that you said that sometimes people have just started and you can't be throwing them into like the lion's den, so to speak, if they don't have the experience. It's
so important that I think the thing we need to be focusing on is encouraging women to get into it. Go to your open mics, go to your first sign up, go to a class, whatever it takes. Like, have the bollocks to do it. That's the conversation, is why aren't the women going towards it? And arguably that's because of the horror stories of the creeps. And there are creeps, and it's a real fucking pain in the neck, actually. And could the creeps stay at home, actually? But for the most part, none of you are. And the vast majority of you are not. But I've been that girl. I've been that girl at the beginning of my career. I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career. I feel like I am. And I've been that girl who is on lineups because they need a woman, because they're like, we have to have a woman. I was on a lineup a little while ago. 2 years ago, I think, around about the COVID time, or maybe just after. I was on a lineup with Brennan Reese, Mick Ferry, and Jeff Innocent. And I was middling. And I turned up and I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead. And that's not me being cute and self-deprecating and humble. They are killers. They are men who have been going for 15, 20 plus years. They are monsters. They're so talented and tenured and skilled and experienced. And I was 3 or 4 years in, and I was like, and I mean, got I bombed my clit off. And I was like, every person in this room should leave saying women aren't as funny as men. They absolutely have every right to think that. I would much rather this night had been an all-male lineup. than I went out and did that, because I didn't stand a fucking chance, and I gave it my all. And you bring absolutely everything you have, but you don't have it 2 or 3 years in. You don't have it 4 or 5 years in. And I think the problem now, I would just love for women in comedy to have more maybe genuine, honest conversations with themselves about whether they feel they deserve spots on certain lineups. You deserve spots on lineups, no question. But just ask yourself whether you want the spots on certain lineups, because I've been that person, and I cannot wait to be at a point where someone asks me to headline and I know I'm going to rip the bollocks off it. I cannot wait to have that level of experience and intelligence and craftsmanship to know that when I'm headlining a gig, it's going to rip the roof off. I don't have it yet, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with working my way, earning my stripes, earning my colours. I would like us to have more honest conversations about that. It does no one any favours to turn up and be not ready.
Yeah. But then I think sometimes too, as well, as like it being a gender thing, I think maybe even newer acts now. I think nowadays, whether it's through like social media and like likes and posts and everything else.
Well, yeah.
I think people were like, well, I deserve to be this. And there's a total difference between making a funny video in your spare room and going up into a working man's club in the middle of an estate somewhere and doing 20 minutes.
This generation of, actually my generation of comics really coming through, have circumnavigated the need for experience. They've circumnavigated the need for actual stage hours, and they've worked out the algorithm. And listen, horses for courses. Do what you want, do what feels great. Everyone's career is going to look slightly differently, but don't then look back and not understand why you don't have the respect of your peers. Don't then be bewildered why people don't think much of your comedy, even though you've got 250,000 followers online.
Yeah.
Understand it. You've picked that route. That is absolutely fine. That's valid and worthy, and it makes you money, and it allows you to pursue this. Just don't be bewildered when you are then asked to do a Club 20 and get your ass handed to you by experienced comedians.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where, again, have an honest conversation with yourself. What do you want? What do you want out of this?
But again, I think sometimes as well, whenever you look at comedy, I think you would be similar to, I think, have a similar look than what I would have. And there are some people who do not, are like in another world.
Yeah.
And would go out and bomb and go, that's great. And you're like, what? No, because when I know I bomb, I go, I hate it.
I'm in the car before the host is back on stage. We call them the Delulu comics, where they come back in the green room and they're like, yeah, no, I think that was great. And you're like, bitch, you wouldn't see me for dust. If I just put on that set, I would be under the bar at the back, just like, can I just wait till they all leave?
Yeah. And that is the word. Like,
it's so funny
see
though.
When it stinks, I'd love to get out of there. Right, see you. Thanks. Bye.
Wait.
I remember once I had the worst gig of my life ever, and I knew, and it was like when I'm up there, I'm like, thankfully now I would go. You know, I don't care if I have another 10 to do. Yeah. They're not getting it because they would have a better time if I wasn't here.
I will fake a fit to get off the stage.
There was a guy afterwards who wanted a photo. He was like, I what's the podcast? I went, thank you. He was carrying a photo, and I went, no. I don't want to ever to be associated with this place ever again as long as I live. I want to just go home and maybe kill myself. Maybe.
Was it one of those gigs where as you're having it, you're like, oh, I'll never be the same again. Like I've changed, so I will never wake up the same person again.
In a town where I had done the worst gig I've ever done before that.
You've got a spot.
I was like, you know what? I will. And then in my head, I'm having the thoughts in my head going, you guys will never be graced with this present. Not that you'll care, but never. This is it. And
we all have those haunted spots. We all have those spots where you go, I actually can't go back there.
No, it's like, I will never show. Like, true story. I did a gig once in a gym, a lovely gym. And the part of the deal was I'll maybe run a comedy night once or twice a year there. Yeah. In return, get a family membership.
Beautiful.
So I went, but again, I was weighing it up, and I was going, I know this is going to suck for me, but I could take the kids swimming.
Yes.
I went, it's worth it, and I did it. Never been back. Been like, you know what? I can't show my face there, and it's just a thing in me. I'm like, I don't care what we get. You can go. You can go bring the kids. You work away, but I will never ever darken that door.
And
again.
They don't understand that. They don't understand. People who don't do it, you go, I can't be like people who've watched the worst gig of your life or know from that. You go, thing is, and they go, oh, everyone gets over it. Everyone has a bad day. I'm like, no. I can't ever go back and look at that person in the face again. I can't ever cross that postcode. Actually, sorry, that's not for me.
And that's just life. That is it.
And that's that. You know? Imagine if you did it in like a beautiful city. Imagine if you did like the world's worst gig in like Barcelona or something. You could never go back. That'd be a heartbreaker, wouldn't it?
It'd be or somewhere or just here.
I was gonna say, yeah, your hometown. Yeah.
This is me done. I can never return again. But speaking of that, I'm gonna have to wrap it up and let you go here because I have children to go collect from school.
You have to go and get them.
Yeah, but Hatty, you're here. You'll be hopefully darkening this door.
I absolutely will.
Times more.
Yes.
Again, if anyone wants to find you online, of course.
Online, yeah.
Not to be like, excuse me, what are you saying about women?
Yeah.
Where can we get you?
My address. It is so on Instagram, Pratty Heston, Pratty.
Which is confusing.
I know. I've been brought on stage as that. Pratty Heston. I'm not on Twitter because I'm not, and I'm not on TikTok because I'm not a predator. And yeah, I think that. Oh, and I have a podcast. God, I'm terrible at this. I have a podcast called Bit Much Babe. That's me and my friend Kay Nicholson. And yes, that's me.
There we are. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much
Thanks, I've loved it.
for coming, and we shall see you soon.
Great.
I'm the sly guy.